All right, we're recording.
Okay, all set?
Yep.
Okay, this is Jim Cortell. I call the meeting to order. It's 6:11. Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes from the April 7th meeting.
This is Don. I make a motion to approve the minutes from, was it April 7th?
Yes.
This is John. I'll second the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Nobody wrote in for a public comment, right? As far as anybody knows.
I did not receive
No
that.
actual public comment. Okay. Viola water reports.
Hi, this is Walter. For the April report, I'd like to report the plant was in compliance. And to highlight some of the things, a couple things that happened during the month. Black and Beach is doing a flow study on the flow coming into the plant. There's 3 different locations coming in, so we marked out the manholes, and there's some flow monitoring equipment in the 3 manholes, and they'll stay in there for 8 weeks. They stop by weekly and check the data, and I haven't heard much about what's happening there yet, but they will share that. Started up chlorination. We're all set with that. Other than markouts, and we tested high-level alarms at pump stations. Did a lot of maintenance on between the clarifier and the outlet structures. The electrical hookup for the roof fans, Jarvis has parts on order. We received the shroud. We received the shroud to go over the bucket elevator. And I've got a contractor coming in tomorrow to give us a quote to install it. On the last page, the bar screen equipment, the chain that breaks the bar screen, that needs to be replaced. I have a quote of, I think I provided that this afternoon, of the parts we immediately want to get was $4,770. I'd hope to get an approval tonight for that. Also, over the weekend, we had a pump station controller failed. I'm getting a lot of reverb here. I had talked to the guy Saturday night.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Hold on one second. Who's 4101?
Hello?
Yeah, Nick Tirosio.
Okay. Nick, we're getting a lot of reverb on the phone.
Do I need to repeat anything?
How's that, better?
Walter, could you speak up? Because I could barely hear you.
Okay. Where did we leave off? Didn't hear. I had said on the 3rd page, there's a, I'd mentioned about the bar screen needs some parts, and I was hoping to get an approval tonight on those parts for bar screen chain and shock absorber for $4,770. And also we had a pump station controller failure over the weekend. I had talked to the manufacturer vendor over the week on Saturday night and showed him pictures of what was going on and explained what was going on, and it appears the controller definitely failed. So right now we're on a more or less like a bypass float system. If that fails, then we've got some problems. So I got a quote to replace the controller. It's $3,297. They have them in stock. I could probably get it pretty quick, meaning this week probably, if I have the approval to get it.
We better get it. This is John.
And
We need a motion for that.
yes, you do.
Okay,
I do it now. Can I get a motion for the $3,297 and the $4,770 parts for the repairs?
I make a motion. But sorry, I just got a text from Ben Proto. He says he's sorry. My wife has COVID symptoms, just got back from testing. He's going to try to hop on.
Oh, that's
By the way.
No, but wait.
not good.
Sorry. I make a motion.
I'll second that motion, John.
All right. All in favor?
Aye, Nick Tirosio.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, passed. Okay, Walter.
Safety, we perform confined space and permit space training, and 12,985 days without a lost time accident. And does anybody have any questions?
Hi, guys. It's Ben. I'm sorry.
Okay, good. Ben
you doing,
Proto's
Ben?
on. Can I make a motion to add the sewer plant truck onto the agenda so we can talk about it?
Okay.
I make a motion to talk about the dump truck.
All right, we could just add it to the agenda and then we could put it towards the end or whenever you want to put it in, George.
It would require a 2/3 vote.
Everybody has to vote on it. So we had a first, we have a second. Now we need to vote on it.
Second, Nick Tirosio.
Okay, now you need to vote on it.
I
John,
vote yes. Jim,
Aye.
Don
Yes,
Jim
I vote
Fratelli,
yes.
Don Sosnovich, aye.
Jim Fratelli, aye.
Nick Tirosio, aye.
Ingrid Pagonis, aye.
No.
So coming home at 6, I can't be able to do everything.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was that late.
So Walter, you can continue.
I'm pretty much done. I'm sorry, unless you have questions.
I don't. No questions for Walter?
I have no questions.
Okay. Go to a collections report.
Yeah.
Income report.
Yeah, Walter already touched upon collections. Did you mean finance and income?
Well, it's on their agenda. It says collections.
Yeah, it's under Walter's report. Collections is usually what happens to the sewer pipes and pump stations.
Collection system.
All right. So next is the income report.
Okay. This is Jonathan. April billing has gone off without too much of a hitch. We took in $676,287.08. That's approximately 83% collections. So it was pretty good, a little bit less than last time, which was 700,000, but all in all, not bad. I have one thing for the board before I head into budget, is I need an adjustment. It is for Seymour Methodist Church, 92 Pearl Street. The administrator there called up, said that they had in the past winter a series of leaking toilets, and they paid the October 2019 bill. They're looking for relief of the April bill. I checked what they historically used and what they used currently. You should normally would be 50 CCF, and that's for $227.70. Asking relief from is their bill is about $1,892.44, which was undetected for months. I've definitely had it fixed. I confirmed that with Aquarion. And so I need a motion to approve an adjustment of $1,664.74, if the board will allow, as this situation has been rectified.
That toilet's more than leaking for that kind of, with that cubic feet. Nobody knew that for 4 months, that toilet was leaking like that?
Maybe longer.
Yeah.
I guess it was.
That's thousands of gallons of water.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, yeah. So, it just seems odd to me, but that's okay.
Oh, and they paid the October bill without a complaint. So
yes.
They must have been aware of it at the time and figured there was nothing they could do about it. The sewer bill, that is.
Well, that's my point. Well, if they knew about it, why didn't they fix it between then? I guess that was my point.
I think what happened is that when they discovered that they had a leak, it was past time they could do anything that would have altered the water consumption. Yeah. So they just lumped it, paid the October bill, and now they're looking for the relief now that they've fixed it. And I mean, you can clearly say how it dropped down. It wasn't a
because unlike and I just want to make one point, and I'm fine with that too. But you know, when somebody has a water main leak, it's not going through the filter plant. When somebody's toilet's leaking that long and they can't figure it out for some reason or another, that goes through the plant.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Just saying, but I'm good with it.
Okay.
Jonathan, this is Jim. They did fix it and do all the repairs?
Yes, they did.
Okay. Well, if everybody's okay with it, I'll get a motion to adjust the 92 Pearl Street for $1,664.
I'll make a motion, John Uhalski, to accept the adjustment for the Methodist Church for that amount.
Okay, second.
I'll second it. Don? Sosnovich?
Okay. All in favor?
John,
Aye.
aye.
Don, aye.
Nick, aye.
Chair votes aye.
Okay, thank you very much. I will rebill them the new total. All right, on to your budget. Which I just realized I haven't sent to you yet, but I apologize for that. I'm going a little crazy here.
Jonathan, did you say that we did not get copies of the budget, correct?
That's correct. I was meaning to email it. I have it. I'm sending it to you now.
Okay. And you're on via phone, right? Not via on computer.
That's correct, but I have sending it to you.
I have both computers up, so I can.
Okay, it's sent. I mean, I can talk about it. That's not an issue, but I wanted you to have it in front of you. And again, I apologize for not getting it to everyone all at once. But the short version of it is that per Jim Galligan and the general capital increase that we want to do in order to do the capital improvement, we're keeping with a 10% increase for this October. So the rate would go from $5.06 per 100 cubic feet to $5.56 per 100 cubic feet. That would leave you with a minimum bill of $133. And it is further recommended that the well rate remain the same, as there are under 100 well users in that are connected to the sewers. The total amount of connections is about 4,000 roughly. So increasing the well would just honestly create a lot of issues with a lot of the elderly persons that are mainly attached to these wells.
Jonathan, I have a question for you, if you don't mind.
Please go ahead.
Do we give, and I may remember the answer, I may not remember the answer. Do we give citizens, like the town gives the citizens, senior citizens discounts if they apply for it on their property tax?
We have a separate application, and the answer is yes. It is
Okay.
15%.
Okay.
We have a separate one. Well, basically, it's just basic information, date of birth, and a copy of some sort of like driver's license and that sort of thing.
All right. And the senior citizen would get this discount whether they're a well or city
Yeah,
water?
oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was never set up for one particular user.
Okay.
All you had to be was 65 or older.
Thank you. Not that
You're
I'm there
welcome.
yet.
Some of us are
I
getting
understand.
Jonathan, a question for you, and only because this just came up with an issue for my local Board of Education that I sit on Finance Committee for. Do
Okay.
we bill the town or the Board of Education for sewer use?
Yes.
Okay.
Every bit of the town is billed by the WPCA.
The town government?
Yes.
Okay.
The only
Thank you.
thing we don't do is lien them. Anyway, continuing on, basically, the budget hasn't changed much in terms of your expense. I projected a 2.75 to 3% increase on Veolia water. I always do it conservatively. It's going to be less than that generally, but the annual contract costs hovers between 2 and 3%, usually low 2s, but I like to err on the side of caution. I haven't increased anything else. Pretty much with the exception of maintenance and obviously for this year, engineering went over budget, in terms of, non-Veolia water contracted stuff. Fortunately, the accidental backup wasn't exceeded. And the IT quality data, that sort of thing is pretty much the same. They're usually under the 12. And revenues, now what I base it off of is what is called billable units of 100 cubic feet. That is something we have absolutely no control about. It's whatever we bill out. And sometimes the billable units are more because of consumption, and sometimes they're less. I placed it at 89% collections, still conservative. I felt we did better than A87 we did the years past because of, either foreclosures or people getting on payment arrangements, that sort of thing. Permits, contractor fees, that sort of thing haven't really increased that much, so I kept that the same. I raised the impact fees ever so slightly as we have had some, prior to the coronavirus rearing its ugly head, we have had some building attaching to sewers, et cetera, that sort of thing. And I could not justify in any way a denitrification credit, as we are usually at this point we're paying into it. So basically, after all said and done, the amount available tentatively for additional capital improvements would be about 150,000 or 149,385.56. And that's pretty much the budget. It is, as I said, a 10% increase from $5.06 to $5.56 per 100 cubic feet. Any questions?
Okay. This is Jim. I don't have any questions. Anybody else? Guess not.
And I would ask if the board could basically accept this so I can then shoot it over for the next selectmen's meeting, which I'm sure, assuming that they will want this.
Yes, we will want that, but we're not meeting tomorrow, just to let you know.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. But nevertheless, I still want to, it's a tentative rate increase, obviously, before now in the public meeting that we normally hold in August. You might want to consider up or what have you, but if you could accept it as is, and give me a motion to do that, then I can send it over to the town clerk and she can post it thereonto.
John,
all right. Can I get him? Go ahead.
Sorry, it's not about the budget though. It goes back to the senior citizens tax discount. Do they have to reapply for that every year?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, sorry.
Ambry, the board has to vote on this also after we do it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, can I get a motion to accept the new annual operating budget?
Yeah, this is
10%
Don.
increase.
I'll make a motion, we accept the budget.
Okay.
I'll second it. Nick Chiarosio.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
John, aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Hey, John,
So we-
this is John Oatley. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Have you shared with the board the communication from Melissa about no changes needed to the billing system in order to accommodate the 90-day deferral? Should any of the...
No, I have not. I had figured that Attorney Proto would cover that under legal,
Okay,
and then I would interject that, but thank you for
Okay.
prefacing that anyway.
we can revisit at that point.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Jonathan, you're done with the financial then?
Yes.
Okay. And invoices, you must have a few of them, right?
Yes. Do you want me to read them off to you?
Just give us a, because we're gonna have to approve them, right?
Yes, you would have to prove them to authorize your signature.
We have to vote on paying invoices, correct?
Need a motion.
Before he doesn't have to really talk about them, just get a motion to pay him.
I'll make a motion to pay the invoices.
Second.
Yeah, second?
I'm sorry, I said second, Anne Marie.
Oh, okay. All right. All in favor?
Don, aye.
John, aye.
Anne Marie, aye.
Okay. Chair votes aye. All right, pay the bills. Legal report? Mr. Proto?
Sorry, forgot to unmute.
Oh,
I was talking and then realized you couldn't hear me. The only issue really this month was, and Marie could talk some about it as well, the state authorized towns to adopt either a reduced interest rate or, excuse me, a deferral rate for 90 days for any taxes, including sewer taxes, that become due between March 20th and July 1st. And it's my understanding the town adopted the 90-day deferral. That does not mean that every person is automatically deferred by 90 days. They have to show that their inability to pay is related to the pandemic. And there is a criteria that is set out by state law or by executive order as to what that is. And there's an application form that the sewer user would have to complete and return to us. And as I understand it, you need to show a 20% reduction, I believe it is, in income, or if you're a business, a 30% revenue reduction for the same period of time from 2019 to 2020. If you can show that you have been financially impacted by the pandemic, then you're eligible for a deferral. So anyone who received their April 1st bill, that bill is payable on or before May 1st, unless they file for a deferment. I'm not sure, and if anything, since this was adopted after the bills went out, I believe, I'm not sure the folks know about it. I know Seymour has put out appropriate, media notices and press notices, but I don't believe there was any insert in the bill. And so we may need, people may be calling saying, hey, I've lost my job, or I'm on unemployment, or I haven't gotten my stimulus money yet, or whatnot. And if that occurs, I think we have to direct them to the form. Rory, I know you're on the meeting. My question is, has the town put that form up on its website anywhere for people to be able to download and fill it out and return it back?
We have not yet. We're waiting on a little more guidance on how we establish the income requirements and all that.
Okay. Thank you. So that's our situation. And I think, you know, if we get calls from people about it, we need to direct them to the guidelines. I believe I sent a copy of the form to Jonathan.
Yep.
And so Jonathan has a copy of the form, which if someone calls, can be emailed to them, or, you know, if we have to snail mail it, you can put it in an envelope, mail it to them to fill out and send back. But they're going to have to show to us that they qualify under the guidelines that have been established as part of the executive order.
And those guidelines are being written up by the town, I'm assuming?
No, the guidelines were established by the state.
Well, I understand that, but I mean,
governor's executive order.
yeah, I understand that. But what I'm trying to get to is what Rory just mentioned, waiting on guidance for establishing income requirement. I mean, it says, yes, that what losses they have to suffer, but how would they determine that? I guess that's what we're saying.
Right, like if they were on unemployment before, right? And then they were to start a job and then COVID started and they're still on unemployment. If you're on unemployment during this time.
Well, if you look at the eligibility requirements for a residential user, you have to show a reduction in income of at least 20% due to COVID. Since March 10, 2020, you've either been furloughed without pay, had your hours significantly reduced, or become unemployed, which is any of those has resulted in at least a 20% reduction in my household income. So, and then obviously they have to prove to us that they actually, and they have to have residency in Seymour. So they would have to provide us with information, and I think, you know, the question is, you know, how do they prove that? Well, if they show us that on March 1st they were getting a paycheck, and on March 20th they were unemployed, and I mean that shows probably they became unemployed as a result of COVID. Remember, the cutoff date, you know, is March 10th. So if you got laid off on March 1st, you don't qualify. Because again, we didn't have a state of emergency on March 1st. So you've got the guidelines are not tremendously well thought out. And I think that's probably the issue Rory and many of the other, you know, administrators around the state are having. It kind of got put together quickly. Some of it came from actually a request that I had made to the state delegation for Seymour to have them look into this. There was a question that had come up from some people regarding whether or not their taxes were going to get deferred. I had reached out at the request and talked to Nicole, Claire DeStetra, as well as Kevin Kelly, and they were going to look into it. They, I think, might have spoken with the governor or sent some correspondence to the governor, and then subsequently, they were not the only ones. Many other towns were asking about it as well. So that's where we are in regards to the deferral program. How they're going to, I mean, they're going to have to prove to us that they've lost their job, or they've been reduced, their income, their hours have been reduced, and their income has been reduced since March 10th. and that it also has to be as a result of COVID. Now, anything that's happened since March 13th really is pretty much all set to COVID. As regards to businesses, they have to show a minimum decrease of 30% in revenues between March to June of 2020 versus the March to June 2019 period for that property. So that would go to, for instance, let's say we had a apartment building where there were people who were not paying rent, either because the governor said they didn't have to, or they've just decided not to because they've lost their jobs or whatever. And that apartment building can show us a revenue reduction of 30% from last year to this year for that same period, then they would theoretically qualify for the deferral. The deferral doesn't mean they don't have to pay them. The deferral just means they don't have to pay them by May 1st. So technically at this point, anyone who's not made their payment is late and is beginning to accrue interest. If they come in and show us that they're subject to the deferral, then we'll have to back the interest out.
I believe that's what Mr. Oatley was referring to.
Right.
That the person whose overall technical control of our billing, Melissa Meridian, that wouldn't be such a hard thing, because basically you would, if, you know, we would run interest like normal, and then once we got a filled out application that was approved by the WPCA, then we could just back out that interest.
Correct. This does not defer interest or defer payment for any amounts that were due to the WPCA prior to March 10th.
Right.
So just so we're clear, it's a very short window of time, covering what would be, in some places, there are towns that bill quarterly, so there would be, much like you bill in April on your half year, some towns bill quarterly in April, and most of the towns will send a bill out on July 1st, which would be covered. So if there are people, we have a number of people who owe us for back payments, they're not getting deferred. They still are racking up interest every month. And,
yeah,
and even if they were to come in and show us a COVID-related reduction for that period, it would only be for the April payment, not for the payments they had previously owed.
Right.
That's about it from here. It was a quiet month, not a lot going on.
Great. Any questions for Mr. Proto, anybody? No? You're all set, Ben?
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Thank you. Engineering report?
Yes, good evening. Just a couple of things. The underground storage tanks have been abandoned. The above ground tanks are up and operational. All the testing underneath the tanks was fine. There was no contamination. The fill area by the generator building needs to have a little bit more sampling done, just where the fill is. A lot of times when the guys are filling the generator tanks, they spill because of the old system. So we're going to have, we have Public Works just dig a couple of spots and have some additional testing done there. Otherwise, that project's basically complete. We're ready to resubmit to the DEEP for the questions they had on the permits. We have the test results for one more test to come back, and then the package will be sent back up to the DEEP. The chairman did talk to me about revisiting the repair of the manhole frames. So we're going to reach out to the contractor again and get him scheduled out to do those repairs. As Walter had mentioned, the guys are doing the regional study, are on occasion asking for additional information. I think it would be good to just let Walter know, under a normal course of action, if they ask for information, just get it to them. So far, everything they've been asking for is basically according to Hoyle. I've done these studies before. They're following exactly the same process that I'd be doing if I was doing that study. I think Walter should just be able to give them the information when they ask for it. I did update the capital improvement plan and sent it over to Tony Caserta to try and see if we could get piggyback onto the next bond issue for the town. He said that that bond issue has already been established and the criteria has already been established, and that we would have to, if we wanted to get into a bond issue, we would just have to wait for the next one. In the meantime, you've voted to update to increase the rates to try and keep things moving along. We need to start doing some design of the headworks and so on. That 10% increase will start the ball rolling. You're still somewhat underfunded. You still need to have some significant increases over the next couple of years to be able to afford the expenses that are needed for a $13-14 million bond issue. The odor control system, as Walter had mentioned, the fan parts and controls are coming in. We also need to get someone like Jimmy Weed or someone like that to bring to replace the wood chips. I can just contact a couple of people, get some prices, and have those, get the odor controls under control. I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Galligan?
No.
I'd just like to make a comment, this is Walter. Brennan appeared to do a very nice job. I was very pleased with how they did their work.
Yeah, I'll second that. But there's no surprise there on my part.
Okay. So engineering report is done. New business, you want to talk about the truck?
Well, we added that to the truck, correct? We added the truck to the agenda.
Right.
So that's next on the list. So I guess I'll start off. I received an email from Tony DePrimo regarding I just want to pull it up, regarding the truck. I want to make sure I sent it to everybody because I didn't think they had it. So this is regarding the sewer plant back truck, right? Tony says that they were asked to do, Public Works was asked to do a federal on the jet truck, and that there were a few serious items that need to be addressed before this truck could be driven on the road and successfully pass a federal inspection. The front tires are dry rotted. The product date is 3/96. They're 24 years old, and upon doing and asking, there's 10-year max life on commercial tires on all DOT. The rear air tank will not build pressure beyond 60 psi. Needs to be at 120 psi. They found water, oil, and sludge in the tanks. This is not draining the air tanks, and the air compressor is leaking oil by the seal, causing all of the above issues. The tanks, lines, and some valves need to be cleaned out, and the air compressor needs to be replaced. And I would like to add an air dryer onto the system to avoid this problem in the future. There may be other brake components that need to be replaced, but I unfortunately won't know until I fix the underlying problems. Number 3 was there is something broken in the steering column. You can push the steering wheel in and out of the shaft. Number 4, the muffler and exhaust pipe is rotted. 5, the horn is not working. 6, seatbelt warning light's not working. 7, serpentine belt needs to be replaced ×2. Apparently there are 2 serpentine belts on this. And 8, miscellaneous body lights are out. It is a 1990 GMC top kit jet truck. With the VIN number, there's 9,173 miles on it. They have marked the truck out of service and is not safe for the road. So before we go into any further detail, I want to remind everybody that Seymour had a serious incident over the Saturday with a tractor trailer dumping trash. It overturned right past Route 20, exit 22. That truck had issues as well, apparently. Private owner, but I want to make sure that we understand that it is my understanding that the truck is owned by the town of Seymour. It is registered and insured by the town of Seymour. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So my next question is, and it's a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. We've had federals done on this truck before, correct?
No. Well, yes, there's been federals, but not by the town. It was done by Chippy's Garage.
Correct. Okay. So, and has Chippy found these issues as well?
No.
Chippy found no other issue, no issues, and
all the reports that have come back have been okay.
And he's passed it, right, Walt?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we need to stipulate that we don't have any certified vehicle mechanics on site, so we outsource our vehicle maintenance to professionals for this reason.
I understand that, John. Is that
obviously it doesn't look like we are being serviced well, but
correct?
But that being said, I mean, you know, we need to stipulate that the truck is, you know, it's definitely shown its age. I mean, we could put a ton of money into it; it's still going to have muffler issues, and you know, I mean, it's an old truck, so.
Right.
I don't believe the odometer is functional in Lee, so I don't know that we can state that 9,000 miles is a true number.
Okay. So let me ask this.
I mean, we go by hours. You know, we roughly go by hours.
Let
I'm
me
going
ask
through my notes.
Right. No. I know. I have a couple more questions.
Sure. Shoot.
Right. So you have to have your CDL to drive that truck, correct?
That's correct.
So why are the pre-inspections not being done on that truck?
They are.
They are.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, our guys are definitely aware of some of the issues. I don't think they're aware of all of those. I know the air tank issue, and I talked to Walter about that. The one on the dump truck is very readily accessible. The one on the vac truck, or the jet truck, Walter, correct me if I'm wrong, they actually have to crawl underneath the truck in order to do it. Is that part of the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was just being, you know, unfortunately unbeknownst to Walter, not, you know, that they weren't doing it simply because they felt unsafe about doing it, but didn't bring it to his attention. So we may want to look at relocating that well, if he does a dryer and an automatic blow off, that'll solve that problem. But and talking with our guys, that seemed to be their issue with the tank. Of course, that's not a good answer, but it's the reality. The rest of the stuff, you know, we send it out annually to be inspected to make sure it's certified for the road. It comes back, you know, passed with the sticker. You know, we put our faith in that garage. Our guys are doing their cursory check, but obviously it's not enough. Or the issues like some of what you mentioned, although I don't know anything about the steering wheel. I don't think that would have been anything.
That was something new to me also. I mean, I watched Chris. He was jerking on the steering wheel, and it came up about an inch. Not the column, just the steering wheel. So
that's probably not part of the check. I don't think anyone's in there yanking that steering wheel upward. But
well, that's what he was doing. But I mean,
no, I know that's probably part of the inspection. But I mean, in terms of the daily check, I don't think anyone's cranking on that steering wheel.
I think that's part of the inspection. I'll have to pull my DOT inspection checklist. I want to make sure that they have their pre and post trip. But the main thing is I want to see, Walter, if we have the last inspection done by Chippy's.
Yes.
So if we have the last inspection, I can stop by the plant tomorrow to get that.
Or I can email it to you.
Or email it to me. That'd be great. If you can email it to me, scan it and email it to me, that'd be great.
Yeah, and typically anything that he finds that needed repair, I mean, we would bring it before the commission for authorization. So,
as far as the tires, you know, Chris had shown me how you can see the date on the side of it. It's, you know, was kind of unbeknown to me, and it's like, I was really shocked that they were that old. I mean, the treads are fine, and if you look real close, you can start seeing some little, what's the word, dry rot starting. So, yeah, but they're over 10 years old, so they need to be replaced, even if they're in good condition.
So
All right,
we
yeah,
support fully, Anne Marie, you know, doing whatever is necessary to make the truck roadworthy and safe. I mean, we're certainly, you know, we're behind that 100%.
Yes, it has to be road ready and it has to be 100%. And I'm not saying this as a shot or a slap towards Veolia in any way, shape, or form. And I do not want it to be taken that way. But we need to ensure that everybody is doing their inspections the way they're supposed to be doing the inspections, and not pencil whipping it. Because the guy that was hauling that trash, he was a contractor for another company bringing that load to the hauler in Bridgeport, and he was pencil whipping his inspections. So now there's several people in trouble on this whole thing, and we cannot do that because that could have killed somebody.
No, I would agree, and you know, we're going to bring this issue to our CDL drivers because they are licensed, and that is their, you know, we actually give them a bonus every year for maintaining that license. So we expect them to not pencil whip that inspection. So I think this is definitely a good opportunity for us to bring some of those issues to light. But they did share with us the issue of the bleeding the air tank in the back simply because of having to crawl under it, and that was only after we pressed them on it. So.
May I ask a question? This is Ben. Sure. Since this is a town-owned vehicle, is there a reason why it doesn't go into Public Works for maintenance and repairs?
Well, it is
well,
now.
I mean, the new partnership, you know, we're working with the town on it, which, you know, we're fully behind and endorse. You know, that is the approach going forward.
Right, and that is something that we just came up with, that Kurt was doing, about having Public Works maintain all town-owned vehicles. And that's why we're trying to do this.
And that's actually the typical situation we find in other of our clients. If they're town-owned vehicles, the town provides the maintenance using their internal sources, like North Haven, Southbridge, Danbury. If they're town-owned vehicles, the town uses their own, who typically have very, very high quality maintenance garages, because they oftentimes are running the highway departments.
Right, just making sure that, you know, we're being economically responsible.
Could I just add something to this? This is Nick Teodosio.
Go ahead.
Sure, Nick.
A lot of times making those trucks legal for the road, for the state DOTs, becomes more expensive than putting your resources into a newer vehicle, because it's a lot different. It's a lot different than it used to be, you know.
Yeah, I know back in 2010, you know, we came across an issue with the age of the truck. I think I'm trying to find my records on it. And we made a verbal request that we should probably look at figuring out a way to replace this thing, because at that point it was starting to show its age, and now fast forward 10 years later, it's certainly not gotten any younger.
Well, sometimes you're just chasing bad dollars with good dollars. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we just got to be careful.
Yeah,
with
no,
that.
we know there's some electrical issues, Nick. You know, we can't certainly troubleshoot. So, which isn't, I guess, Walter, wasn't there a recall on something with that truck about the dashboard or something?
The dash there's a problem in the dash with the gauges and lights and everything, and it's an inherent problem with that model vehicle. If you read it, you can go online and read about it. There's been people, you can't buy a new cluster panel. You can try to get a rebuilt one, or some people have actually taken individual parts, unsoldered them from the back and resoldered new pieces, but even people that have bought rebuilt ones and tried have still had problems that never resolved some of the issues. So it's just,
Let's,
that's kind of what we've been dealing with.
why don't, and I don't want to, you know, spend any more money than we need to do, but we need to get the truck up and running, see how much it's gonna cost for it to be legal on the
Right.
street. Then as well as get new pricing on a new one or a nearly new one. You know, if it's gonna cost us, you know, $15,000 to bring this truck up, I know the trucks cost more than that, but, and it's gonna cost us, you know, 40 for a new one. I think, I know the numbers are not, you know what I mean? But we need to look at the pricing to see if we should get.
I've already talked to people about a new one. I mean, you know, you don't want to know what a new one costs.
No, but even a semi, you know what I mean?
300.
300.
Well, we can
over
explore a
300,000
used one.
for a new one.
Might be able to explore a used one.
A used one would be the way to look, I guess. But then again,
Right.
you don't want to get an old used one. You want to get a newer used one.
Well, something not that old. But
Right.
This is John. Could we look into leasing a truck? Are these trucks ever leased?
Yeah, you can lease them. You can.
I mean, right now the truck is sidelined, so I've gotten a hold of McVac, and I've got their prices for, you know, what it's going to cost if, you know, if we need them per hour. So
right.
it's like anywhere from $350 to $450 an hour, depending on, you know, when you call them.
Well,
But how many hours a year?
used?
How many hours a year do we use the truck? Do we know that?
Well, if it depends on the blockage or the call, or, you know, if we're doing a street,
Yeah, I would
sometimes.
say somewhere around 200 to 300 hours a year. Probably
Okay.
about.
So that's so now you're, you know, because I like that idea of leasing if it works, if the money works, because now you're not paying registration, you're not paying insurance, you're not paying a lot of maintenance. So that all has to get added into whatever we're paying with whatever. You know what I'm saying? You can take that off of whatever it would cost us to rent the truck, because those costs would go away, right?
Correct.
Right.
And somebody driving the truck, that cost would go away too, right? The labor.
Right.
Just something to think about. I only, because that's, you know, I know, I work for a contractor, and a lot of specialty stuff like that we do rent out, and we don't, you know, because it just became that we don't use it all the time, and it became cheaper to actually do it that way. I don't know if that works for you, Walter, in your process. That might be a bad idea. I'm just saying.
To rent?
About.
Are you saying to
Yes.
rent?
No, you know what we could do? I can take it upon myself to give, I can run a cost model on all three scenarios and have it for the next meeting.
Thank you, John.
You know, and we can look at continue as is with this truck, lease one that we operate, or just subcontract out that emergency service and what that would look like on an annual basis. And I'll even include, you know, a credit that Veolia will kick back based on the number of hours we typically run a year for overtime and things like that, to try to, you know, to put into the cost model. So you'll have basically a 3 scenario look at to choose from. And we'll get some good leasing. And I'll also throw in a fourth one, which is a price of a new jet truck.
That one's gonna be crazy.
Well, you know what?
450,000.
Look at trying to get some pricing on used ones, some low hours.
Yeah, just to have it. I get it. Mm-hmm.
I'll
Yeah, it's a
look
good
at it
idea.
a bunch of different ways, and I'll put it on a spreadsheet, and I'll submit it before the next meeting. And we'll have the price that the town comes up with for trying to get this thing federally certified roadworthy.
And we
Something
could
that
also, sorry, it's Anne
I'm
Marie.
sorry.
We could also look at, you know, with the DPW, if they, what they could do as far as what trucks they have, or how they could help out as well with this.
As
Well, like
far
I
as what,
said, I'll
Emery?
price it all up, everything I can do, and then from that point, if you wanted to shop it through the town to see, you know, what they might be able to do.
Right. Is
But that would be a good exercise to do at this point. I know we talked about it in 2010, And then I know it was briefly touched upon at the new contract discussions about, you know, kind of we looked at everything, including the vehicles, because they are getting up there in age. But I think it'd be a good opportunity again to revisit it now in 2020. So.
And Jonathan, is that work mostly, is that emergency work or is that scheduled work?
Mostly emergency, and there is scheduled siphon cleaning we do just to keep the siphons open, as well as hitting the trouble hotspots. But I would say the majority of the hours are emergency backup activities. Correct, Walt?
Yes. I mean, we try to get out and hit hotspots and, you know, the siphons we plan on doing, but it's usually, you know, we get to call someone's basement or there's something running down the street. It's like, okay, let's go, you know?
Yeah,
so
but there are contractors, you know, specialty companies like McVac that you can put on retainer, not retainer, but you can call them in as well. It's obviously more expensive, but
the only difference with calling someone, you know, which of course they've got the equipment, but you get to call, you got to go check out if there really is a problem. Then you got to call them. They're going to be an hour before they even show up. You know what I'm saying? So whatever problem is there is going to be an hour later down the road, or someone's basement filling up.
That's a fair point.
Right.
That's a fair point. But I think, you know, let's get the you know, let's not talk about it in a vacuum. Let's by next meeting have at least a spreadsheet of different scenarios, and we can look at it, because it does have to. The economics have to play into it, as do the emergency response time. So.
Right. Good point. Alrighty. Is there anything else this classifies as new business too, I guess? Or?
The only thing I wanted to make sure that, getting back to the billing question, is that there was no requirement to modify the existing billing system, which was good news. So I just wanted to make sure that the commission understood that what Mr. Pronto was discussing, you know, there isn't going to require any modifications to the software to accommodate it. Which could have been expensive, but it turns out it's not so going to be.
Okay.
That's good news.
As far as executive session, I don't think we have anything on that. As far as I know. If there's nothing else, I guess we can call for adjournment.
I make
a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
I second that, John.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, guy.
Okay. Chair votes aye. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, stay safe.
Thank you.
Be healthy.
Everybody